now 10 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Those of you that have cell phones, would you please put them on silence, please? And next order of business, can we stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next order of business, we have the minutes of July 15th. Are there any additions?
I was spinning the grinder.
Move on to minutes.
All right. Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Abstain.
We have claims, approval of the claims.
Second.
Discussion. Those in favor of the minutes indicate by saying aye, or the claims. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Moving on to the human resources, we have the memorandum of personnel transactions. I will pass that around for signatures. I need a motion on that, please.
Second.
Discussion. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. This morning on the memorandum of transactions, we have the hiring of a full-time security director for the courthouse, and I'm pleased to announce that we're going to hire and have hired Marty Potterbaum, and I'd like to introduce him this morning. And Marty, would you have a few comments about yourself and also about the program that we've implemented?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Boykin. First of all, I would like to thank all the Board of Supervisors for this opportunity to serve the citizens of Woodbury County, and that is what I see it as. A little bit of my history: I'm the 13th of 15 children. We moved to Sioux City when I was 2, and I've been here ever since. I served 18 years on the Sioux City Police Department, and 20 years in private security, and 4 of which I ran a small little security company called International, and then 16 years as security director at Southern Hills Mall. I like to think that gives me the broad expertise that I hope you were looking for, and that I thought would fit this position very well, that I've done both law enforcement and security, and know the difference between the two. The vision I see for this position is that we will secure this building. We'll make it safe and secure, but do so in a way that the citizens who actually own this building don't think we're treating them as suspects. I will stress very much the customer service attitude on everybody that we hire and that we train, that they will understand that everybody who comes in the door is not a suspect. But in the same token, we have to secure the building. And I would hope the citizens of Woodbury County would understand that. There will be a learning curve for all of us, the citizens and our staff, and hopefully we will go through that as seamlessly as we can, and that we will secure the building in a way that the people will not feel that they've been mistreated in any way.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Any welcome comments?
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We just had this, which is
Well, let's go on. We've got the authorization of hiring. I got to do that in.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Now, discussion and action on the policy for economic development.
you have, you notice in your packet, there are 2 sheets. There's 2 words different from one to the next. In one, the second one it says to be scheduled and approved by the board prior to the meeting. The other one is said to be approved by the board and will be reviewed monthly. So the only difference is, obviously, in both cases, we're on this type of transaction. It certainly should be an expense that's reimbursable. It doesn't require taxes, that type of thing to be taken out of it. The only thing that we're suggesting possibly as difference is in one, you require that the board approve prior to any meeting what's being done. The other one just says, we know this is being done, the board will review and approve it after the meeting. Within, of course, within guidelines.
Okay. Any questions?
So you,
We're gonna pick one or the other.
Please pick, I'm asking that you pick one.
I'd like to ask David, which one do you want?
I'd say the one after, that were reviews that after the meeting take place, just in the event that I'm unable to, contact the board for approval.
That's always a possibility, yeah.
I like that one.
Okay,
Second.
I'll make a motion to approve that one.
okay. And that is amending this policy, so any discussion of the amendment? Seeing none, those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. So now we need a motion to approve the minutes, the policy as amended. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Thank you, ladies. We have the receive county records on fees collected.
Move it.
Second. Discussion? Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, item 4.5, we have rural economic development, David Bleiser, discussion of the CGI.
Morning, and my apologies for not being able to be present last week. I had a mix-up on my calendar and I was in Des Moines for a training. But I watched the video and I thought Don did a pretty good job.
She did.
I did meet with Joshua and we reviewed the previous contract that I had before you last week. Joshua made some recommendations, got with CGI, and we were able to get those resolved. So I presented the amended contract to Joshua, and he said it looked good for approval, or that he approved of it. And this is just what I did is I took a snapshot of our county website homepage, and this is what it would actually look like. We would have a video chapter book right here embedded on our county homepage, which is nice. So when visitors come and land on the website, they'll be able to click on that. We'll get 6 one-minute videos that can showcase our inventory in Woodbury County. It's as you've seen last week, the videos are very well produced. There's absolutely no cost to us. It's absolutely free, and it's a win-win situation. The only thing that we're required as a county is that we would put this letter of introduction on our letterhead that CGI would be able to use to introduce themselves to prospective sponsorships. So,
Are there any comments?
What were the changes that made?
There was one change in regard to the termination. Just made it clear that we could terminate on 30 days notice, I believe. And then Larry had the question about making an exclusive provider for streaming. We clarified that it's only relates to content created pursuant to the contract. I think that we're safe with that language in there.
Okay,
Move it.
there's a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you.
thank you.
Item number 6, Patty, the 2080 agreement to recommend.
What you have before you is what I do on an annual basis is I do a memorandum of understanding with the Community School Districts. It is for the continuation of the Safe Schools, Healthy Students initiative that we've had in place since the federal funds expired on it, which happened back in 2003. So the Social Services Offices has been funding those continuation of those services through the memorandum of understanding with the Sioux City Community School District.
Any,
I would move it.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Jim?
Just got it.
Didn't
Just
see
in
it.
time. Just, the program's a great program. We continue to expand and develop the program. As you all know, there's really no prevention for mental illness. So the earlier the intervention, the better. And if we can work with children and high school students, we can avoid lifelong disability issues. There's an education focus on all those issues. So the earlier intervention, the better. This has allowed us to do it. It's allowed us to work with the outreach workers from the Sanford Center and other community organizations being real collaboration in terms of preventing further problems for people. And it's a model, statewide. You know, Woodbury County is the only county, one of the few counties, I always want to be careful, one of the few counties that offers these services to children in the school system. And it'll become a model, I think, as the family and children's system is redesigned in the state of Iowa. The adult system, as you know, has gone through the redesign process. The children's programs will be next. So many of the kinds of things we're doing in Woodbury County will be replicated across the state and will become a model, thanks to the work that Patty and her staff has done with the approval of the board. So we appreciate everything. And I'm always personally happy because I tell this story, it's a brief, real brief. I tell this story all the time. When we received federal funds to do this 15 years ago, whenever, 12 years ago, I had to go before the school board and with some trepidation because I knew it was going to happen. After we asked for the funding to go forward, the question was, how are you going to sustain it? And how will you sustain it? And this board and the school system has been able to sustain it. And we're very happy about that. We're very proud of it. And most importantly, we've helped thousands of children.
Thank you.
I would agree with that. I mean, I have seen students that have been served by the counselors, and it's made a difference. The school just doesn't have the resource to provide that. Behavior problems, mental health problems seem to be escalating at a rate that we can't even keep up with. So, you know, we fund it, probably not even to the level of what should be funded because there are just so many needs, but it is a step in the right direction. I'm happy that we are able to put the resources into our families and our communities. It's just necessary. I feel just so strongly about it. Thank you for the work that you do.
And I would reassure you also that we do make this available throughout Woodbury County. It is not just the Sioux City Community School Districts. We serve those consolidated school districts throughout Woodbury County.
Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you have to enjoy your tour down there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 7, John Puello.
Good morning.
Morning.
We've got 2 subdivision applications. They're both minor subdivisions in that they don't have any public infrastructure involved in them. The first one is a replatting of a lot within an existing subdivision about 1.5 miles east of Sergeant Bluff on the south side of 220th Street. Vonda Antonsen simply wants to divide an existing lot into 2 pieces so she can provide a place for her daughter to build her home. As it is within 1.5 miles, extraterritorial review is afforded the town of Sergeant Bluff. This is on that seal coat part of 220th Street where it about ends. We will be requiring a paving agreement according to paving policy. Any questions on that one?
Move to refer this to the zoning commission for public hearing and recommendation.
Second.
What's the size of that lot?
5 acres. Now, I can't give you the exact dimensions off the top of my head, but it's about a 50-50 split.
That includes the driveway coming in.
Yes.
It does. Well, I mean, the parent parcel, the existing parcel is 5 acres. The split will be to such a degree that it will meet our bulk area requirement of 2 net acres for that second home. Both lots will be 2 or more acres. Yes.
Any other concerns? Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
The second minor subdivision is for the Marsh family. Carla Marsh filed an application to subdivide 63.5 acres, which is represented by portions of 5 independent parcels. What she'd like to do is end up with 3 lots. She wishes to sell the largest portion, which is timber ground, to a local landowner. And at the same time, she wanted to take some of the frontage in her parcels and develop a lot for future residential development. This one is 2.5 miles east of Smithland on the south side of 330th Street. Again, a paving agreement will be required.
Move it.
Second.
Any discussion?
So lot 3 is just gonna be all the timber?
All the timber will go to Mr. Flathers. He may be an adjacent landowner, if not nearby. I'm sure he'd love to hunt
I
that.
was just gonna say, there's a lot of hunting ground there.
So make friends with Mr. Flathers.
Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Anything else, John?
Nothing.
All right, thank you. Secondary roads.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Got two items today. One is, the first one is a permit to use the right of way for the Uncle Ben 5K run. This is held at Cushing each year. They close and use a portion of County Road D22 for the event from 8 to 11. They provide the traffic control, do this in cooperation with the city of Cushing. Cindy Karstens is the coordinator for the city on it.
So is the sheriff's department involved in this?
They take care of the law enforcement, so
Okay,
I'm not
you
sure.
don't know. This 5K race out of Cushing on the Woodbury County?
Contacted me, I will
Okay.
send a note to Cindy and try to make sure that happens. There's only 3/4 of a mile of race that's in Woodbury County, and the rest is in Ida.
Okay,
It crosses the line and runs out onto that level B pavement they've got.
okay.
But I do recommend approval. Last year it went off without a hitch.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. What's that?
I did.
Yeah, okay. Item number B.
Second item I have is set a vacation for, set a date for vacating some road rights of way. These are two more parcels that are within the Morningside East subdivision. This lays south of Menards. It's bounded by Highway 20, Morningside Avenue, and Menards and Gordon Drive on the north end. We did one of these last year for a family who had their lot split by Stoddard Avenue as it was platted. The majority of the streets out here have never generated. This involves Dave Blute, who was one of the initial objectors to the dismissal of Stoddard Avenue. Now he's decided he'd like to get a couple of those roads himself. It makes a lot of sense because it joins all the Dave's farm ground. And nobody builds on a 60-foot wide lot anymore. Anyway, I wish we could make all of these go away, but we're kind of picking them up as we can, or we're sure we have no issues with the access. The second one is for the Murray family estate. They have a 16-foot wide alley that splits between their garage and their house. And both of these would be taken care of with a hearing set August the 25th at 10:20 a.m.
Is there a motion to set that hearing at that particular time?
Motion.
Second. Okay. Any further discussion? Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
I had been kind of waiting to do one along Christie Avenue and another one of these similar to this that was requested to the old Lakeport Road that I know Larry's been out working with me on.
Yeah.
And I still don't have the plats for that one, so Murray's are in a hurry to sell and would like to have the claim deed necessary for that to go through without any issues with claims.
Okay.
That's all I
Anything
have.
else? All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Coming to the end of our agenda, hearing of any individual or group wishing to make a presentation on an item not on the agenda. Mr. Snyder?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Take this opportunity to invite you to our annual conference we are hosting in the end of September. It's the State Association of County Conservation Boards Conference. And here is a copy of our program. I'd like to invite you to be our guests, if you will. The second sheet is a registration sheet. So if you'd like to sign up for any, register for the conference, please fill that out, get that back to me as soon as you could, and we'll take care of that. The dates are September 25th through the 27th. The Thursday, the 25th, we have some pre-conference activities. Allow them to arrive into town here and do some things. So we have golfing or biking events, things like that. That evening, we have an opening social and get them downtown here to spend their money.
Great.
Friday, we start off with our, most of this is our conference hotel at Stony Creek Inn. So we're excited to be almost right across the street from the hard drive, which will be open by then, and everything else too. We'll start out with a keynote address, load them on buses, and we take 2 different tours that day. End up over at our Little Sioux Park for an evening barbecue and with our vendors, outdoor vendors there. And then Saturday morning, we have a bunch of concurrent sessions, tour business meeting, and wrap up with a luncheon. We're dismissing a little early that afternoon. Typically, they run through Saturday night with a banquet, but we've got our Ancient Calls event that we're also putting on that night. We did that on purpose to have these folks participate if they want. And so far, registrations, half of them are staying for that night. That extra night to go to that.
How many people are you anticipating?
About 250.
Is that right?
Folks anyway, yeah.
And this is a statewide conference that you're
For county conservation boards, yeah, our statewide association.
That is great.
We last hosted in 2001. It was 14th and 15th. It was right after 9/11 that week.
Yeah.
It was a tough week. Plus, when it started raining here this support all 3 days. So it wasn't much fun trying to do our bus tours and things, but we got through it. So I promised them it wouldn't be any wetter.
Well, I appreciate the invitation. I'm sure that I know I'll be around. And,
that's good. I'd like to have you give a welcome on our opening on Friday morning.
I appreciate you. I'm sure that some of the other board members will be participating too. That'd be great.
That'd be great. We'd sure love to have any of you that want to attend. One day, both days. Like I said, sign up on that sheet, get back to me. So we've got head counts. We'll take care of everything. We've got a few supervisors coming from Harrison County. Might be some other ones show up too from some of the other counties.
Good. Wonderful.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? John?
I just wanted to update you with a couple issues that impact activity of the city of Sioux City within our jurisdiction. First one, I think you've heard a little bit about what Brian Peterson wants to do
Right.
with about 200 and some acres south of Whispering Creek, which is in our jurisdiction for the short term here. That particular issue is kind of in negotiations on the, primarily tied to the issue of the extension of Glen Ellen Road, hard surfacing south to 141. They're still trying to bang out who pays for that, how much of it has to go in right away. City would like to see the entire extension in. Then the city is now but discussing the issue of about 200 or 300 feet that the Salzbeck family, who owns the lots development on the south side of Whispering Creek, they didn't quite pave to the end to the city limits. So there's about a football field worth of distance that has to be picked up to connect the 2 pieces when they're ready. So it may end up that the primary location of access to this new ground will be off of 141. By that time, it will be annexed to the city of Sioux City and subject to their subdivision process. Any questions about that project?
What about the drainage?
There was an email from Attorney Stan Munger, who represents the Farmers Drainage District. We responded by email to that yesterday after we talked with Brian Massbergen of GGR did the platting and the retention pond development. It meets the standards of the city, which are more stringent than our standards rurally. We passed that information along to Mr. Munger, and he'll forward it on to the trustees. Our office had gotten a couple phone calls from downstream landowners concerned about this significant additional surfacing, but it would appear to me that standard to which they'll be held will not only not increase the Well, I'm trying to think of the right word here. Will not increase the level or the output of the discharge. It'll spread it out over time, obviously. I think it might even improve the existing drainage.
So they're talking about sort of a catchment area or maybe a wetland?
There are 4 detention ponds built into this subdivision. Obviously, this will not.
Which doesn't exist right now?
No, no. Obviously, there's runoff from part of Whispering Creek ultimately into the farmer's drainage ditch.
Right.
This enhances that, this additional hard surfacing. But past and planned detention pond development should negate the impact of a 100-year event. Obviously, if we get our 500-year event, it isn't built to that standard. I don't know where we'll protect it by that. The other project is tied to our Board of Adjustments approval of the conditional use permit to the city for their rail line spur connection between the existing UP line south of the airport as it enters the Port Neal complex. Location is probably a quarter mile just south of 225th Street from the west property line of the former Hickman gravel location off Port Neal Road. The existing rail line runs north-south right there. There's about a 2,400-foot extension through our jurisdiction. So you hit the former 27 Flags golf course site, which is now within the jurisdiction of Sioux City. They intend to build a rail yard there. This is just connecting the rail yard to the existing UP line. Conditional use permit was issued. We provided the city with the resolution. We are currently in the building permit process with the city on our portion.
Okay.
Questions about that one?
Good, good.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else? Board members? Larry?
There's the pictures and a couple brass plaques that are sitting on the counter here, and plus the negatives from when the courthouse was built. And we'd like to donate that to the museum, and we'll put it on the agenda for next week.
Okay.
So that everybody's aware of what's going on.
The museum is very interested in having them, and right now they've been kept safe, but really they've not been in a place where the public can go in and view them. And
no, they've been hidden for 100 years.
Okay, I didn't want to say that, but they've been kept in a safe place. And this would be an opportunity, I think, for the public to know that they exist, and they can look at them and use them for research and that kind of thing. They're really, really interesting. So let's put them on the agenda. Yeah, for our discussion and decision next week then. Okay, anything else? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are scheduled for a tour at Social Services offices out at Triview, so we can meet each other out there. We'll recess the meeting.
Signature.
Why would you